Hello everyone. Before starting the video, I just want to give this disclaimer to you all that this is just a rank video. So don't take it seriously, but I would also suggest that do take it seriously. Yeah. So these are the points that I've made and I'll be going through each of it, you know, talk about them. Yeah. So we know fascism has been on the rise all over the world. Um, like every single country that we know of has a fascist party now. The people who have been, the people who were very hesitant to say that, I'm a fascist, I'm a Nazi, are not hesitant now. They're proudly saying that they are racists, they are uh, anti immigrants, they are anti humanists, like they're very open about it. So it has been, uh, it's not a popular political position now or a political ideology as of now, but it sure has been on a rise. It has been on a rise after all that after all the shit that it has created, that it did. Yeah, that is quite surprising to me, but the main difference is that fascism is a specific historical 20th century political movement characterized by totalitarian rule, militarism, and violent separation, while neo fascism is more adaptation that retains core fascist ideas like ultra nationalism and xenophobia, but often operates within a democratic framework. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Now I think about it. The fascists that existed before, uh, the fascists were oh were more of an anti-capitalists, if you think about it. Like, they stood with the working class, they talked beside the working class, but the deeds didn't come out as pro working class, like quite literally. They were being funded by the capitalists, property owners, and they stood before property owners. They opposed um abolition of private property, but that is a topic for a different video. But yeah, like that would be a major point of difference, that fascists were more of pro working class compared to the neo fascists who are very openly pro capitalists, right? Like fucking Elon Musk, Jeff fucking Bezos. Yeah, all these people. Yeah, I think that is one of the major differences that we can point out. Yeah. So we established that there's a difference between fascism and neo-fascism, and we know that there is a rise in fascism all over the world, like literally all around West, literally all around West. I'm going to repeat it again, all over West, Germany, UK, Italy, Spain, France, US, Canada, everywhere. And there has been quite new fascist movements in East as well, like in India. Yeah, I should mention Israel, which has been fascist from from its inception. And other than that, there has been Argentina, Brazil, etc. There are many. Trust me, there are many. Okay, there are many parallels of these countries, the policies of these countries, the values that the parties that has been ruling these countries stand for, and the fascism that was before. There has been many parallels, but yeah, popular narratives being anti-immigration, standing in support of private property, defending capitalists, especially in neo-fascism, and the reliance on aesthetics and optics. That is quite important because fascism in itself cannot strive long, because it is a contradictory ideology. on one point it talks about something, and the minute after it stands for something else. So yeah, there is a difference in that. It relies on aesthetics and optics quite too much. Why am I talking about this? Because I live in a fascist society. As a socialist and a leftist, I think it is very stressful to live in a fascist society. So I think it is very important to come out and say that, come out and say my struggles out loud, because it is very important to connect with the people all around the world, because fascism is rising all over the world. Um, I think it is also better to organize with people, and also empathize with people. Yeah. People around me defend being racists. They target the outgroup always, like every single thing, every single bad that happens, and the every single good that has happened, by avoiding the bad that would have happened, and they associate that with the outgroup. They associate that with the that specific marginalized, whatever, targeted group, right? So it can be religious, it can be ethnic, racial, can be gendered, right? It can be sexual orientation. Yeah, it can be anything. But yeah, it is about in group and the out group. So that happens a lot around me, and I am always stressed about it. So it becomes very much important to talk about that, empathize with the others about that, because if 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 you're a person from America, and I assume like most of my audience would be like, dude, it is crazy out there. It is crazy, right? So yeah, it becomes stressful because you also have to maintain your standpoints. You have to be fixated to your values, ethics, politics, and also the country I live in is an apartheid one. So also you have to hide yourself from that, from defending that, you know, the group which has been subjected to apartheid. Yeah, that that is too much. But yeah, yeah, like every single thing that you do becomes an act of resistance, and resisting is freaking stressful. Okay, so you have to filter out your opinions. You have to figure out, like, you have to think what you're talking about. It becomes very hard to be normal in such a society. It's like you're always finding your normal self, but it becomes an always and never ending perpetual state of cognitive dissonance, where you are seeing the operation that is happening, you are hearing, you are sensing the racism, the bigotry, but you can't talk against it, because yeah, it comes with consequences, like being isolated from the group, being isolated, like being subjected to marginalization, subjected to making fun of, right? There are many things that pisses you off, but yeah, you have to go through it. And yeah, that clears out what is happening and why it is important to talk about it. And yeah, I think we also have to get some examples out of it, like the people who have went through this before. And I got two people, Walter Benjamin and Antonio Gramsci. Why these people? These two were fucking communists, and they were subjected to harassment, targeting, right? All of this. Antonio Gramsci wrote books about communism while being in jail. How is very interesting because he used many his own words, his own created words to talk about communism, to converse about the communistic ideals. Yeah, that happened. Why does it become important? For me personally, I relate to them very hard because I need to, as I said, I need to formulate my ideas beforehand. I need to think about what I'm talking about um, before talking in public because, as I said, you can be subjected to marginalization, you can be subjected to, targeting, etc. That that's where Antonio Gramsci comes. And if you even read about Walter Benjamin, it is very quite similar to like what happened to him as well. Um, yeah. And also, this channel is where I'm going to go all out on the thoughts I get. I'll be formulating my thoughts. I'll be talking about the games I played. Yeah, this is the new start of it. I'll be raw dogging it. Yeah. The whole point and conclusions. There are some special points I have to include in this, right? So, I have an environment that has been built up or built to the state, doesn't even provide opportunities to unionize. Yeah. So, as I said, I didn't say, I'm a student. So, student protests was very prominent in my country in 80s, 90s, even in 70s, 60s, even very recently, 2010s and afterwards. But after the rise of fascism, after a fascist party came to power in my country, bro, like there are very less student protests, like way less, which has been anti-government, which has been anti-system, because student unions, like example I'm giving, student unions have been systematically disorganized. They have been broken down systematically using the institutions that the state provides. So it has been very hard to unionize as being a student. And even if you go to the workers thing, it is damn hard to unionize. It is very hard. Why? Because it is a very important trait of fascism that it attempts to organize the newly created proletarian masses. It does let proletarian masses to organize without affecting the property structure. As I said, this will mostly apply to the fascism before, but neo-fascism does it to some extent, but I don't think it is as pro unions as it was the rise of the old fascism. But neo-fascism is not that pro unions. Okay, so yeah, this is my opinion. Okay, fascism sees its salvation in giving these masses not their right, but instead a chance to express themselves, just to express themselves. They don't care about changing, altering the material conditions. It's just about, and when it comes to power, it will start breaking it down. It will start union busting many things. Marx's concept of alienation explains it a bit. We produce goods that enrich the corporations closely aligned with the regime, but we have no say in the working conditions, no ability to collectively bargain, no right to strike. The surplus value we create is extracted with even greater efficiency than before. That is why um, Nazi Germany emerged as one of the very wealthy countries at that time, but a hard be there, but it didn't reach out to the masses. It didn't reach out to the working class. So it does make the country rich, but not the working class, just the country. That is why it is very important for fascism to stick on to ultranationalism. Values like such distracts the public, distracts the working class into thinking that every struggle they are fighting is not against the capitalists, is not against accumulation of capital, it's not against capital itself, but it is against an outgroup. It is an against a racial class. Fascism is counter revolutionary, it is a distraction. Yes. How fascism deepens this scar on the society, how it uses it to stay or come to power. Example, the market economy having surplus skilled workers with a saturated job market, the capitalists enjoy the undervalued workers, leading to unemployment. So, how lucky you are to have work to do and to live in this privileged environment that leads to being surrounded with the most delusional, ignorant, elite set of people who don't even care what's going on in this country around you. I recognize that I'm a privileged person. I recognize my privileged positions. That actually makes my situation even worsen because, ideologically, I'm talking, intellectually, I'm talking, you will be only surrounded with the people who are not very much grounded, are not very much aware of the material conditions that actually exists. That makes it harder. That's what I mean. So, yeah, having control over means of information. As fascism uses aesthetics and art to come to power, I'll one day make a video about it. How, how, fascist aesthetics basically. Like some of the art examples, I'll make a video. Okay. So, having control over means of information, the educational institutions satisfying the needs of propaganda of the government in the classrooms. So, uses aesthetics and art to maintain its power, distract people, and other way is by controlling the media. Controlling media, the controlling the narrative is very much important for fascist governments to stay in power, to maintain their power. So that is why they uh, focus more on controlling the means of information. Means of information includes many mediums of informations like news, art, architecture, aesthetics, etc. So, propaganda of the government in the classrooms is some of the vilest human beings teaching us and having the authority over our expressions and knowledge. What Marx called false consciousness is manufactured systematically here. Working people are encouraged to identify with national greatness rather than their class interests. A factory worker struggling to pay rent is told to take pride in the military's new weapon system as if this improves his material conditions. A farmer losing his or her land to agribusiness is told that national food security requires consolidation, privatization, as if her disposition serves anyone but the corporations. The disconnect between ideology and reality is stunning, yet millions accept it. It is a whole fucking system where the government, the party has utmost power on controlling the lives of the working classes. And they use and it uses aesthetics and art to justify it, to control it. Why does it become very important? Because fascism is mostly aesthetics and art. Ideologically, it is hollow. Physically, it is hollow because it has no real world implications. It has zero effects on, it has effects on material conditions, but it is towards negative side, right? negative side. So, yeah, it only exists in this ideal state of racial supremacy, and it maintains it by using aesthetics and art. Why does it hurt? Because I'm an artist. It is in my field. It becomes my point of interest to point out aesthetics, how fascism is using the aesthetics and the art field. Because artists in my country are fucking dumb. Okay, we'll talk about it again one day. Conclusions. How this all relates to you and might relate to others. As I said, how it literally affects your thought processes and your living as a whole. You're skeptical about yourself all the way, every time, everywhere. You are skeptical about your decisions, you're skeptical about your ideology, the books you read, everything. That fucking stresses you a lot. Okay. So why is it important to talk it out? It is very important to talk it out loud because let's unionize, guys. Online unionize. Ending the video with the doom you feel towards the future of humanity. See the whole world. Climate tripping or tipping point. Yeah, whatever. Climate tipping points. Coral reefs, dying. Fascism all over the world. Less focus of public, less focus of the public on actual things that will affect them. And Palestine, Congo, Sudan. Like what should we talk on? What should we put our interests on? What should we focus on? Crazy. It is very stressful to follow politics. I'm definitely not optimistic towards humanity's future. But again, what's the point? What's the point of all this?